Hey there, Razor here, and I'm finally gonna do it. Finally gonna fix one of my PS3s. Or let me say, attempt to fix one of my PS3s. And for today, I'll be working on this guy. And if you're wondering why I have 3 PS3s, watch the previous video to see all the consoles I have a problem. But what exactly is wrong with this PS3? Now, PS3 Slims are said to be quite reliable, but a recurring issue I've grown to notice is display issues. This one specifically had problems displaying HDMI and even had problems displaying components sometimes. I tried changing the hard drive, reinstalling the firmware, resetting the display countless times, and it would work for a short time, but eventually it would just go back to a black screen. I get it working back over HDMI again. And this is the same case for both HDMI and component. But the other thing is that HDMI was the harder one to get working, while component would work and would work for much longer. HDMI would only work for a very short time, and then when it stopped working, it would pretty much break everything. Now, it didn't seem to have any graphical issues when I used it, but it would only give me a few hours on HDMI before it just randomly stopped and went to black. So, you must be wondering, how can I fix it? Well, me too. I actually wanted that for quite a long time, until I stumbled upon a fix. And here's what I found. Now, as reliable as the Slims are, display problems are common, and it is likely one of 3 things. Number 1 is a bad HDMI port. Now, I ruled that out by looking at the pins, and they are spotless. No bends, no breaks, nothing. I even tried wiggling the cable to see if, the display would go in or out, and nothing. Number 2 is the display needs to be reset. Now, you at home can do this, and it's the most basic way to diagnose your PS3's display problems. It's as simple as powering off your PlayStation 3, holding the power button until you hear 1 beep, then a second beep, then 2 quick beeps, then you let go of the power button. And if you're lucky, it should reset the display to the default display to whatever cable you have currently plugged in, whether that be HDMI or component. Now, as you can tell, that didn't fix my problem because I said I did it quite often. So let's finally move to last but not least, number 3. And that's this chip right here, the Panasonic MN8647091. For the sake of this video, I will continue to call it the Panasonic HDMI controller. And to get to that, I'll have to take the PS3 apart, and I have to desolder that chip and solder on a new one, which I got from good old AliExpress. So while I take the PS3 apart, let me tell you how I got it and what are my plans after I fix it. So I got this PS3 from a friend at church. He said, "Hey, I got a PS3 Slim, it powers on but no display. Do you want it?" I said sure, and he said just give me a few dollars and take it as parts if you want. To which I kindly obliged and gave him 2,000 Jamaican dollars, which is equivalent to $12.73 USD. At the time of recording this video, because yes, I have a problem, and at that point I only had the PlayStation 3 Super Slim, which wasn't working for years at this point. So of course, why not take in a second not working PlayStation 3? So I took it, brought it home, and realized that it does in fact power on but no display. So I tried the display reset with HDMI and it didn't work, but then I tried display reset with the component out, and that worked temporarily, at least long enough for me to notice that the disk drive doesn't work, and also long enough to install custom firmware and play a few games. But it wasn't always the most fun experience, because occasionally it would go black again and I'd have to do the display reset a few times before I could get it working again. Occasionally I would get the HDMI to work, but it would never really stay long enough to get any actual enjoyment out of it. But then I got my third PlayStation 3, which I bought for 8,000 JMD, which is equivalent to $50.94 USD, from another friend who said he just had it sitting there collecting dust, so he wants to get rid of it. And I thought it was just the console, but then I was surprised when I got all of this. So I think it's fair to say that was a pretty good deal. So now that I have a working PlayStation 3, what do I do with this one? And I know just the thing. Now I've got a friend, and he's the same friend that gave me the lightning struck Xbox. You can see the video up there. Now he's never had or gotten the chance to use a PlayStation 3 before, so I decided what better person to gift a PlayStation 3 to, because the truth is I don't need 3 PlayStation 3s. I don't think anyone does. So for those who are just hoarding consoles, pass them to someone. If you're not doing anything with them, give it to someone that'll enjoy it, someone that's never used them before, you know, someone that can appreciate it just as how you would have appreciated it. Just don't be selfish. I try to keep my consoles in the best of conditions possible, and occasionally I'll hand them off to family and friends and say, hey, if you're gonna keep this, just enjoy it, but make sure you take care of it and then pass it back to me once you're done. And so that way I can pass it along to somebody else who, you know, has never experienced this console before and would love to try it. So here we are, the Panasonic HDMI controller chip. First, what I do to replace this guy is I put some heat resistant tape around other components near it, just so I don't end up blowing them off or blowing them away or melting anything around it. Next, I grab my heating station and set it to 500 degrees Celsius. Now that might be a bit hot, but I find it takes things off much easier. Also, I grab my no clean flux and I let it go along the legs of the chip. Now with flux, I'm usually very liberal with the amount of flux that I use, because the more flux you use is the easier it's gonna be when it heats up and to get it off. And then all I do is I apply that 500 degrees Celsius heat until I can move the chip with some tweezers. I usually, in the same motion, just add the new chip while it's still hot and while I still have the heat over it, but sometimes it requires some extra going over with a soldering iron first. So I add some more flux and some more heat and make sure the solder is melting. Then I add the new chip and boom, once that slides into place, that's it. But usually if it doesn't just slide into place like that, all you have to do is add some more solder to the pads and add some more flux, add some more heat, and that should be you. And also very important is that you add a little bit of pressure on the top of the chip so it, you know, it goes down with some force and stays down there. But that's really it. All we have to do now is clean up and put it back together for testing. And it works right away with no issues. It auto detects the HDMI and just works flawlessly. Now of course, I tested this thing for about a week to make sure it's 100% before I give it to my friend, and now he can enjoy the PS3 just like I did when I got my first. And I didn't go over the custom firmware modding and adding the games to it, but if you want to see something like that, or if you want a video like that, you can comment down in the description and I'll be sure to work on a video about that. But until then, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Just notice it, man.